Hello. So, for now, this is going to be the last part of the surgery diary because we're no longer at the hospital. But there might be more coming because of the follow up surgery. We'll see what we do with that. But yeah, uh, today was the day we got to leave the hospital. And what should have been a day of bliss, of relief, of basically a victory lap. We felt really good last night, and we were going home early today. Should have been a good day, right? It ended up kind of being a nightmare scenario, and we're gonna go through that. Then we're gonna talk a little bit about our general thoughts about this past 9 days, and that'll be it for now. So, dawn of the final day. Uh, right after we posted the video last night, immediately after that, like we were done. We like crawled into bed. We probably did that Asian practice one last time, and we suddenly have the nurses come in, and they ask us, "Are you still feeling feverish?" And we say, "Yeah, we are." It's been going up and down, but it's been there. It's been there. And they said, "We think you might be COVID then." Or no, that's not what they said. They basically said, "Okay, we need to test you for COVID." And that was like the moment where we thought, "Oh crap, we're not going home tomorrow." So we took the COVID test, wrote to our partner, and they said they were gonna come in as soon as the test was done, because it was one of those proper tests that actually take time, and not just those often not very accurate store-bought tests, And they said they asked if they can come like wake us up in the middle of the night if they had the results, and we said yeah, it's fine, and they said okay, otherwise it'll be in the morning. So we were like okay, fine, yeah, that's fine. So it's around midnight. We start off this final day with the fear that we might have COVID. We've had COVID once before. It was very bad, despite us having had 2 vaccine shots at the time. And we got through it, but, lasting effects and all that. And it's not something we wanted again. And we've been worried a few times that we caught it because, we, like, for example, at a summer job, we work with a lot of people, stuff like that. But we've been lucky enough to not contract it since the one time we got it was in 2022, February 2022. And yeah, it was scary. But we thought, okay, well, there's nothing we can do. Let's just wait for the results. And hope that it's not COVID, because if it's COVID, they're not gonna put us on a bus or a train home tomorrow. Like, they're gonna ask us to find a way to quarantine, right? Like, and that would suck. But so we end up not sleeping. We try, we really do, but we end up just not sleeping at all. Not a single second of sleep. And we keep thinking like, okay, well, at some point they will come in here with the results, right? And then we can, even if it's bad news, we can get some sleep then. Like, we just have that tension relaxed. Think it's at 6 a.m. They come in. And they tell us, "Good morning. We have your results." We're like, "Okay, it's not COVID." And we're like, "Oh, that's great. That's great. So we get to go home today." They're like, "Yeah." It's like, "Oh, that's great. Guess we still have a fever, but like, yay." So maybe today will be fine. We haven't slept, but we're going home today. It's gonna be good. So then the they start coming in to do the various like regular check-ins and checking our pulse, our blood pressure, our temps, and all these things. And while they're saying it, while they're doing it, saying like they notice that again we have gone up to a slightly higher temperature, and they say something akin to like hopefully it's nothing, because like you don't want to get some kind of infection or something if you go home tomorrow, and we can't be there to help you. And we're like, sorry, what? You said go home tomorrow? We're going home today, right? And this is not the second time in this day that hasn't really even started yet where we have thought, oh shit, we're not going home today. And she corrects herself and it's like, no, you're going home today. You're going home today. And we're like, are we? Are we though? Like that was such an odd thing to say. But okay, fine, whatever. And then this surgeon, we're assuming, didn't say, but we're in the plastic surgery department, so comes in to do the daily rounds. It's someone we haven't seen before, and he he starts the usual thing, like he asks for our ID number. He asks for like how we're feeling, and we just give the same answer we give every single one that comes in there. We say, yeah, we feel mostly fine, we're a little warm, and our left leg hurts because of fainting in the shower yesterday. He says, you fainted in the shower yesterday. And we're like, yeah? You don't know that? Like, granted, we don't know who he was, but like, yeah, no. Like it seemed the other people with him knew, and he was like, oh, okay, that's not good. And then he started thinking. Then it started going on about like maybe you have a urine infection. Like, does it hurt when you pee? And we say, no, it's been fine. In fact, it's gone really well. He's like, we're gonna have to order a urine test, 2 urine tests, in fact. And now we're going, okay, based on us not having a bad experience peeing. So we're like, okay. And now we're worried that, like, does that mean that we're not going to be able to take, the trains and buses the train or the bus we were planning on going with home, because they don't go all the time, and we had been told prior to this that we would be out by lunch. So we're like getting worried again. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, we can do that. At this point, we're also kind of like, we were kind of like thinking like, oh, after this we're gonna go to the bathroom. Now thinking, guess we'll hold it in because they're gonna need to do a urine sample. Then he says, oh, and you need to come back to the hospital on Monday. At this point, this is like we will generally let people walk over us because we don't have any like semblance of self-worth, But at this point, we just straight up said, no, we're not. And he like looks flabbergasted and says, why not? And we're like, we live in a city far away. We can't travel easily either. Like we planning out this week here at the hospital took a lot of like time and like just calming ourselves, preparing ourselves, and moving things around. We have things where like that will be happening literally as early as tomorrow. Things just got slotted in that had to be placed there apparently. And he's like, "Well, you have to, because like I don't think that your vagina looks like it's supposed to. It looks too red." And now we're like, every other surgeon and person working in this department that have looked at it have said it looked fine and healthy. This dude that we don't even know is now coming in saying us, nope, it looks wrong, and you're gonna have to come back here in 7 days, 6 days. And we're just like you can't, what? Like, no, like you can't spring that on us. He's like, well, I need to see what I need to be able to let your surgeon see what it looks like around a week from now. And at this point, I think it's one of the other people in the room that he's guiding says, well, can't she send a picture then? And he goes, yeah, you could send a picture. And we're like, yeah, that's fine. Why didn't you just suggest it at the first place? So apparently we're going to be sending a picture of our vagina on Monday to our surgeon who's been in South Africa since the second day after our surgery. Well, the first day after our surgery? We don't remember now. It was ridiculous. And it's like, that encounter is probably what sends us down a strange spiral throughout the rest of this day. Again, this is still morning. Think we might have gotten breakfast, but hadn't started eating it yet. We're not entirely sure. Although the breakfast was also strange, because yesterday, because we were no longer on this like low fiber, slag free food, they actually came in with the menu and asking, hey, tomorrow you get to eat from the regular menu. What do you want for breakfast and lunch? And we were like, well, we will be out by lunch, so lunch probably nothing. And then we asked to find out what was on the breakfast menu, and they were like, oh yeah, like these things. And we were like, okay, well, we'll have yogurt with cornflakes and some tea, milk and sugar. Thank you. And like whoever was taking the order, like, wrote it down, was like, yeah, you'll get it in the morning. And we're like, awesome, can't wait. Like, it's not our favorite thing, but yeah, looking forward to it. And then our tray arrives in the morning, and it's cucumber sandwiches and no tea, and a very small, like, obviously a side dish of like some flavorless, like neutral flavor. What is it called? I think that's not yogurt, but has a similar consistency. It's just fil in Swedish. Whatever, that and some cornflakes. And we're like, this is not our order. And the person brought it in, one of the students, was like, oh, is it not? And I'm like, no, we asked for what we asked for. And he's like, oh, that's bad. Should I go change it? And we're like, we'll just take the file and the cornflakes you have, but yes, please give us tea. Right, please give us tea. So she leaves to get tea, comes back in like a couple of seconds. It's like, wait, did you want tea? I'm like, yes. You just left to get us tea? And she leaves again? We're so confused at this point. So we're just like, okay, whatever, fine. We're lying there, and eventually the tea arrives, and we're like, cool, we're gonna eat breakfast in like just a minute or two. It has been less than 10 minutes since this breakfast showed up, let alone even less since we actually got the tea we wanted with it, and we like to let our tea simmer for a bit before we eat. Suddenly another person shows up like, can I take your tray? And we're like, we haven't started eating yet. We just got our food. We're like, oh, sorry, it was time to get the trays. It's like, oh, really? Okay. And then, so like, we finish our food. And they're like, well, guess we called staff then and tell them we're finished with our food since, they were supposed to get it a while ago. So we do that. And the person that came in with the food comes back and it's like, and we're like, oh yeah, we finished our tray now. And she's like, oh, you don't have to call for that. Like, we will go get it, like, in a bit. And we're like, but someone was already in here trying to take it from us right when we got it. We're so confused. It was a strange morning. And it gets stranger, right? So at this point, we're like texting with our partner, telling them that like, hey, they're telling us that we're gonna have to do like a urine sample and some kind of photo pick on Monday. Like, hopefully the urine thing will not take long, and we will still be able to make our train or our bus home. We had two options, and they tell us, like, they're actually someone who works with these kind of things. So like they tell us, well, one of those samples will take a long time, but there's no reason for you to be there while you do it. So they just need, as long as they take both of the samples, they should still be able to send you home. Like, there shouldn't be a problem. I was like, okay, yeah, that's reassuring. Then like the next time someone comes in to check on us, we ask like, hey, what happened to the urine sample we were supposed to give? Like, it's been like an hour now. And she tells us, oh, we already took a urine sample from you, from like the the when you're not pissing by yourself thing that we had for most of the day. You're fine. Like, there's nothing there. We did that like yesterday or 2 days ago or something like that. And we're like, so you already had both of the urine samples that this doctor, who clearly had no idea who we were or what had happened to us just the day before, was now saying we had to get, but also telling us that our vagina looked bad, even though all the other doctors had said it looked fine. Shouldn't use the word doctor because it's multiple different staff members. It's what you default to when you talk about these things, and when you're a casual scrub like us. And we were like, what the fuck is going on? At this point, we like tell our partner like, well, it seems they already had the urine samples. It was nothing. Like, whatever. Like, are you heading here? And they're like, yeah. And like, yeah, we are. And like, okay, yeah, well, that's good. And so we like sort of think, well, so are we like free to go then? Is it time to go? We still have some like questions we would like to ask about, what our life is supposed to be like from now on that we haven't gotten answered. In fact, it's been a distinct lack of details given in a lot of things. We'll get to that. So we call in the staff. Student shows up again. We mentioned this not because there's a problem with her being a student, but because the context of this is very interesting, because the student shows up and we're like, hey, so are we like able to like start getting ready to like go home soon? And she's like, oh, I need to go ask the nurse. And it's like, okay, that's fine, of course. She comes back, yeah, I think so. It's like, okay, well, can our partner come in? We know it's not visitation hours, but like they're supposed to help us pack some of our things. Like they have a bag, and like all these things, and and she's like, yeah, that's fine. Like they can come in. Like, okay, cool, yeah, that's good. And we're like, okay, that's good. Like, guess we'll start packing them. Then after a while, like, she comes in again, and we're like, hey, so what are we supposed to like bring with us from this? Like, we know we're getting dilators. Are the dilators we've been using here at the hospital already? Are those the ones we're bringing? If so, in what? We haven't gotten any bags or anything. Uh, and basically, it becomes this like back and forth of her running away to ask the nurse something, coming back with a seemingly almost sure of herself answer that mostly tends to be yes for everything we ask about, and it's like okay, that's fine. We ask about getting like a we ask if like we get if um like what else on the table we can get like the end, and she ends up giving us like one of the last bottles of loops that were left, stuff like that, like, and she also gives us this like the soft ring to place on seats to sit on, which ends up getting put in a garbage bag because it's big and we had nowhere to put it. So we carried that around in a garbage bag, and it's just strange. It's just a strange experience of like having like a 6 to 7 part um, release from hospital scenario that doesn't involve anything other than a student. We never spoke to the nurse again. We never spoke to a surgeon or a doctor again, or a head of the department or anything. The student was just the one who, kind of nervously and unsure, kept running back and forth and giving us answers. It was an experience. We did skip over something. We also asked for like a list of all the meds that we need and when to take them. What they were for and all these things, so we could have like an easy to just look at, like, okay, we need to do this time, this time, just like, I don't know, so we could like just basically make a schedule for ourselves to follow with the medication we're gonna have to take for the coming week. Because there's a week after surgery where you have to remain on a lot of medication, uh, like antibiotics, painkillers, and more things that slips our mind right now. But we got that. We got that list, and we were like, okay, that's great, thank you. So we packed it down with like the other lists and information we had, like information how to like handle the breasts and how to handle care of the vagina after this. All these things, like we asked for them and got them into papers, and we're like, good, that's good. We can read those, we can memorize those. It's great. And we thought, yeah, I guess we're good to go. Like, guess we're just gonna walk out the door, and nurse and the student is like, yeah, you can go. So we went. Very strange exit from the hospital. Very strange day. And because at this point we had already been so nerved up, like, that's really a term, but like, our nerves were just so fragile at that point, from all the COVID scare, the not sleeping, the strange surgeon or doctor that like negged our vagina and asked for a bunch of things that they already had, and also like didn't know what happened to us, even though he came in to assess our situation. And the student exit thing, like, and the food thing, it was just like, what's going on today? Why is today this strange? What is happening? So we decided to take the train home instead of the bus, because the train actually leaves earlier, so we'll be home earlier. and that sounds nice. So we go to buy our medicine. We buy like a little bag for it all. We buy some extra things that's just good to have. We buy the lube we need for the dilator. We buy whatever we need to buy. We buy it at the apothecary, at pharmacy, if you want to call it that, at the hospital. And we're like, okay, time to head outside. We also got an ice cream, which was like the first non-hospital food thing we had eaten since Sunday the week before. Or, Sunday the 2 weeks before. It was a really nice ice cream. So then we like sit down for a bit outside, just take in the fresh air and like test the strength in our leg. Our partner ends up like carrying the heavier bags because we're not allowed to carry things, and we realize why the fuck do we bring so much heavy luggage with us? Like we said we wanted to like write or play games or something like that, but we just ended up being like so depressed and melancholic about things. And when we weren't, we got like spurts of energy to record these videos. Or possibly spending time with our partner, which was mostly watching Orange is the New Black, which we haven't seen before, and so we've been watching that. But and Jurassic Park 3, of course. But it's like how did we plan this trip? Like what why did we bring heavy luggage when we're not allowed to carry heavy things for 8 weeks? Like, what was the thought process there? And it's like we just like we didn't like now we were the problem, like it's like whatever, let's just like get on the bus to a train station and then train home. So the ride on the bus was very painful. There was not room to use the sitting ring on the seat, so we just sat on the seat as it was with our new delicate, very slow, very barely moving legs body, and it was very awkward and bouncy and a little painful at times, and like vibrations in bad ways. It was uncomfortable. But we were prepared for that, to be fair. We were prepared for that. Then we got on the train. We were not prepared for that. There, the ring fit perfectly fine on the seat. We were like, good. That's nice. We get a nice soft seat that like takes into account like how we're sitting. It's gonna be fine. It's a 3 hour and 30 minutes trip home. Good. That train is like the most violent train ride we've ever been on. And at first we were like, it's probably just because we're so unstable. Like we can't sit straight. Like we can't keep balance. So we asked our partner, like, is this the train just ridiculously shaky and bumpy and like leany and all these things all the time? And they're like, yeah, it is. Like it's really bad. So that was a very deeply disturbing trip home as well. We're covering this part of being home because it'll make sense. So we arrive home and we go to our partner's place. And we're like, nice. Let's like go to the bathroom. We want to like finally shave after all this time. We want to like actually start taking our estrogen again because we haven't been allowed to take that since 2 weeks before the surgery. We want to like get a shower. We decide to do that later. And we need to dilate again because it's been 12 hours since the last dilation, and you're supposed to do it 2 to 3 times a day. So 12 hours means you're failing your twice a day quota, So like we decide to do the dilation. And this is where we do something that wasn't intentional apparently. And we had read the paper about dilation. But during our time in the hospital, one of the things mentioned when they asked how the dilation went for us was that they said some people start with a smaller one, but then eventually they can move up to the large or even larger one. And the person that showed us how to actually use a dilator even said that the smaller one can be good sometimes, it can reach a little further. So we think, okay, well, I guess we should use the smaller one today, because we haven't used that one before. Let's see if it reaches in a little further, let's see if it feels any different. And it's, it's mostly the same experience. We kind of get like this like perspective trick on us, where like we feel like it's not actually any deeper in, but it absolutely was. Because it's thinner but longer, but it still looks the same in terms of the shape. So like unless you remember exactly the width of what it looked like when you're looking down at it, it's like it's about the same amount of dilator we're seeing. So I guess it's not going in any further. It's just thinner, right? But no, it got in a little further. But so we did that, and then we decided that we were gonna go to meet our friends at this queer gathering spot that's in our local city. And we weren't gonna stay long at all, like literally minutes. We were gonna go in because they were celebrating today, and they had sent us a very nice message and like celebratory video a week ago during our surgery day. And we normally volunteer there every week. So we wanted to go in there and surprise them, like, hey, we're back, we're fine. And they were celebrating the fact that they actually won an award, which is great. So we decided, yeah, we're gonna go there. We're gonna like say hi to everyone, be happy that they won the award, maybe eat a slice of cake, then go back home and just rest. Just rest. So we come out in the kind of breezy cold weather. We live in Sweden. And I start walking. First it feels perfectly fine. And then after like a minute or two, we start feeling like the dilator is still inside of us. And we're like, that's strange. Like we know it literally can't be. It can't even go all the way inside, obviously, but like, it's not in there. We know it's not in there. We're wearing clothes. Like, it feels like it's in there. That's a strange feeling. And our partner's like, well, maybe you're not supposed to walk so short after using it. And we're like, no, we think it's fine. Then again, we didn't walk much. We mostly like used it and went to sleep and stuff like that. But like, no, it's fine. It's probably just the cold air. Like, it's probably just the cold air, which is something that the dilated vagina has not felt before. So we got on the bus and went there. We arrived there and we're like surprised, and everyone's happy. And we're talking and we're like hugging, and we're just like we need to sit down because we can't like exert ourselves. We can't actually do anything here. We're just gonna sit there for a while and then leave. So we're sitting there, and it felt perfectly fine apart from that cold little alien feeling of something being stuck inside our vagina, which is a strange feeling. And as we sit there, just in a very brief moment, we start feeling like we've soiled ourselves, but with blood. We're like, feels like we're leaking blood into our pants. Like, try to like check our pants discreetly. We're not. There's no blood on it. It's like, we can feel it. We can feel how it's like running out. This is bad. So we're like, well, let's be realistic about this. Let's actually like try and get a better feel for the situation. We're all wearing new pads because we have to buy pads, of course. Maybe they're just not used to the pads. Maybe our body's just not used to the pads yet. So we ask our partner, it's like, hey, we're feeling like, it feels a little bit like we're bleeding, but like we don't think we should be bleeding. We didn't do anything wrong, And they're like, okay, well, you seem to be fine, right? And we're like, yeah, we think so. We're just gonna whatever. We're just gonna like move towards the sofa and sit down there instead. It's softer, and we can just get a slice of cake and leave. You know. And on our way over to the sofa where it would be nice to sit, or just kind of like lie down, we get super dizzy and now even more convinced that we are just gushing out blood. So we tell our partner, like, no, we're pretty sure we're bleeding. We're pretty sure we fucked up. Maybe it's because of the cold wind. Maybe it's because of the fact that we like used a dilator so shortly before walking a bunch. Maybe it's because something's wrong with our vagina. Like, what do we do? And so we ask like one of the other volunteers there that we know. Anyway, we know everyone there, but like we ask her, like, hey, is there somewhere we could go in private and just like check to make sure that our wound is doing well? And she's like, oh, so okay, context. The toilet and water has been shut down on this basement level for weeks. You have to go to a different level to like access it. Walking upstairs when you're dizzy and possibly bleeding out of your genitals, not a great idea. So she's like, there's the music studio. I can unlock the music studio. You two can go in there. It'll be fine. No one else has a key in there, so it's fine. No one else at the gathering has a key in there. It's like, okay, sounds good. We go there, we like put our jackets on the floor, lie down, and like pull our trousers off, look at it, and it's like, there's no fucking blood here. Well, there's a little blood, but like, there's always a little blood. But like, it looks fine. It looks fine. We check in the back, it looks fine. And we're just like, wait, but then what is it? What is wrong then? And our partner just kind of like lets us rest in their lap for a bit. We're like what's going on? And so we land on, well, no, it must have been that we decided to walk when so shortly after dilating. And they say, we don't think that's it. We're like, okay, but like, what else would it be? So we lie there for a bit, and finally we're like, okay, well, let's eat that piece of cake and head home, Turns out the unlock button for the studio suddenly broke. We got locked inside the studio. That was interesting. So we're locked in there for a while. And it's like, what do we do? Like, banging on the door doesn't work. It's a sturdy fucking door. Shouting at the door doesn't work. Sound's not coming through that. Writing to our friend who opened it, she doesn't seem to be checking her phone. Fuck. Eventually we realized, we can like write to the volunteers. The volunteer chat group. There are other volunteers here. Someone will read it. So we're writing that out, and as we hit send, suddenly the door just opens. And we're like, oh, thank God. And it's no one from the queer gathering at all. It's someone who works like in like the music aspect of this building, heading into the studio. And we're like, oh, sorry, the unlock button isn't working. He's like, that's strange. I will look at that. And we like move out. And we're just like, oh, thank fuck he didn't come in like 5 minutes earlier. And I was on the floor with my fucking vagina hanging out. So like, at this point, the volunteer group has seen the message, and they're like, oh, like what happened? Like, it's fine. Like, we're not actually in danger. It seems to just be like another case of like maybe it's our blood pressure or something acting up, or like again, or like whatever. We're just gonna take a piece of cake and head home. We'll take a piece of cake and then head home. So we head home, and we need to shower. And we're gonna shower in a bit. We want to just like sit in the sofa for a bit. And while doing that, we check our our instructions on dilation. And it's like, does it say here we're not allowed to walk after dilating? No, it doesn't. It doesn't say that. Also, suddenly we remember we were actually walking a lot after at least one of those dilation sessions that went fine in the hospital. But something that we did wrong, sort of, not in like a very important way or anything, but what you're supposed to do with the smaller one, apparently according to the paper we got at least, is use the smaller one as a starting point for that specific session and then switch to the larger one in case you can't start with the larger one. That is not what the person that told us about the smaller, larger, and largest ones told us. That's what neither of them told us. And I was reading the paper, it's like, we have read through this before, but like, the memory being told what you're supposed to do is slightly more fresh in our mind. So we're just like, okay, so was that a problem? And it's like, no, that can't have been a problem. Like what? Like, did our vagina suddenly contract like 5 millimeters in diameter in the past hour because we used a different dilator? Like, no, that's not gonna be it. That makes no fucking sense. So thinking like, no, it must be just like maybe we were too aggressive with it. Maybe we poked too hard. Maybe we did something wrong. Whatever, we need to shower. So we go to shower. And throughout this, we haven't been eating much. Because one of the things about the medications is that one of the medications we're taking can't be taken 2 hours after eating. It needs to be taken 1 hour before eating or 2 hours after eating. So you have to like kind of like match our meals with that, because that medication is meant to be taken 3 times a day. They never told us this when we got it during the week, by the way. We learned this as we're reading through the list on the train. Whatever, we need to go shower, right? We need to go shower. So we pull our chair up into the shower because, last time we were in the shower, a week ago almost, we fainted. We don't want to do that again. So we're going to wash with, we're going to follow the instructions of how to wash with the, like as closely as possible, just sitting on the chair, doing our best. And it's during this, we're sitting there, first scared to start. We're suddenly scared to wash ourselves. We're not taking off like all our clothes. There was no bleeding going on, apart from like the very minimal bleeding that will always be happening at this time. We're like scared. We're like, something's wrong with us. Something's wrong with us. And finally, like, our partner, they're wonderful. They help us actually get started with the shower and then let us continue it. And we continue. Now, like, we get to it. And because one of the like instructions is you need to actually like wash your vagina with like soap, like soap for I'm not sure what the English terminology for it is actually, but like a soap that won't hurt it, we have to actually like get close to it. We have to actually look at it. We have to actually like touch it and like feel it around, and it's not hurting. It's not hurting. It doesn't look hurt. It looks incomplete. There are some pieces missing. We know that. They're gonna be added in 3 months. But it looks fine. Like, ours is not the first new vagina we've seen. We were shown what it looked like as early as at least 8 years ago. It looks fine. And suddenly it's easy to clean, and the strange sensation of everything being wrong about it goes away. And that's when we realize that It's just the pressure of that hospital, Dave. It's the fear of not getting to go home today. It's the strange behavior of the your vagina looks bad surgeon or doctor who didn't seem to know who we were. And not in a like, oh, we're famous way, but in a we're a patient here that's been here for 8 days way. That's been like just grinding us down all day. And now it's finally like exiting, and suddenly it's like we feel good again. And we bet that's why we started feeling bad during the queer gathering as well. Queer gathering sounds so strange, but it's a queer community meetup spot that's open every week. But it's just fucking ridiculous how like a mostly good week at this hospital, with problems to be sure, and some very, very, very miserable downs, because it ended on such a strange, confusing, kind of condescending, no, condescending and scary note. Like the potential threat of us not going home on the day that like we've been told we're going home on all this time just completely ruined us, and in turn gave us effectively like it effectively like convinced us that our surgery had gone wrong, or we had somehow fucked up our surgery after the fact. And that's why I want to tell the story. Not because we're like super mad at the hospital, although we will probably like write some kind of complaint about at least the misgendering we talked about many videos ago. Because like, but no, we think it's important because there's doubtless going to be other trans people with, medical problems and surgeries in general, that will also have these kind of hypochondriac, maybe not explicitly, but relatively similar to reactions to just the worst hospital experience. We're already actually like scared of hospitals, and we're able to like hold that back for this entire visit up until today. The moment that doctor said, you need to come back here on Monday, we were done. Our entire day was ruined. We didn't even really know it yet, but like after that, everything was just us convincing ourselves that our life was fucked. And that's scary. And that's very scary. Let's talk about something fun. So we got some gifts at the hospital. We actually got these early on. There's probably an awful sound of us picking us up. We got these early on, but we haven't showed them off because we wanted to wait until everything was over. We got these beautiful fake flowers. You're not allowed to bring real flowers in. From our partner. They got us the lesbian colors. Speaking of, happy Lesbian Visibility Week. Beautiful. They also got us this Lego set of sakura leaves. Or cherry blossoms. So, I haven't built like any kind of Lego in a long time. but that's gonna be fun. And our friends who are into Sonic the Hedgehog, just like we are, got us this running Sonic action figure. Actually, it's easy to look at the back what it looks like. And this Sonic and Amy mug. We don't ship Sonic and Amy, but we do love both Sonic and Amy. So we're very happy about this. We actually considered buying this ourselves a few times. The person who gave these to us as a present, she really wanted to give us a Blaze the Cat figure, but she couldn't find it anywhere here in like the toy shops around there. So those are very, very sweet gifts. We're really happy to have gotten them. Yeah, they made us really happy. We think we got all of them on Wednesday. God, the days are blurred together for us now. I'm not sure, but like we think we got them the same day, and I'm very happy about them. So let's talk a bit about something else that's actually not great. The instructions we got were not great. Just like a lot of context missing in like the medication stuff about like specifically when it would be appropriate to take it. Like one of them has like, you know, in between meals, like, you know, the 2 hour after, 1 hour before thing. But most of them are just like, take these 3 times a day, take these twice a day. But they have like different hours of when you're like supposed to taking them again. Some of them are like take when necessary, but like, you know, that's that can also be tricky to like gauge. And like there's not really like an easy way to build a schedule from the information they got us. We ended up half-assing one on our phone that basically just check off what we've taken and at what time we've done it, and keeping track of which medications that we're only allowed to take a certain amount of times we have taken so far in the day. But like it's funny because like we specifically like told them like, hey, we struggle with taking medication. Could we please get it's a printout like list of when we should take all these things? And that's what we thought we got, but not really. But that's not the only thing, right? And we realized this today. We should have really talked about this earlier, but we realized it today. We're realizing there's a lot of hiccups in the video. That's just what our laptop does. So we only got one physical therapy session, and it lasted like 5 minutes, which taught us, oh, what we need to do once a day, maybe twice a day, is to just stand up, walk a little bit in a circle, maybe sit in the chair for a bit, and then walk back to the bed. It didn't help when the day we had 3 guests over and we were asked to go to the cafeteria to sit there. We ended up walking a lot with, you know, the guided table that like you hold on to with wheels on it. We ended up walking quite a lot that day. So they told us, hey, you walked a lot yesterday. Try to not walk today. Like they didn't say that. They said try to rest today. Which when it's like you walked a lot today, try to rest today. Maybe it's different for neurotypical people, but we read that as okay. So try not to walk today. We still walked a very little amount, but we mainly just stood in the spot and like, you know, tramped our feet. And then when they removed the bandages and everything, they even took away the walking table. We didn't get any real physical therapy at all on walking after the bandages were removed, when everything changed again. And we realized this as we were trying to like walk out of the hospital, and we're like, holy shit. We're not sure how we're supposed to walk, how we're supposed to move in the best way. This all feels entirely alien to us because we've only done very short distances moving between a bathroom and a bed or a chair and a bed. And now we have to walk upstairs, or, well, not in the hospital specifically, but like we have to like walk, around crowded areas and potentially walk upstairs, downstairs. We have to like figure out around how much can we walk before we have to sit down for a bit. And it's like, wait, shouldn't we have been taught this? That's strange. And here's the thing, we're not blaming the specific hospital on this or anything. This is probably a general Swedish healthcare issue. Let's be clear about that. We're just commenting on the fact that it is an issue. Because, like, what the fuck? Like, no wonder we fucking faint and shit when, like, we're not even really, like, taught much for how to, like, move. When having, like, new body parts and, like, things strapped onto and inside of us and, like, tearing as we're moving. And then we also realized they never told us how to put on the pads. The pads we got at the hospital were basically like giant paper pads, like period pads. Put like the person that put one on me, we don't remember who it was, but like they did so after like everything had been removed the first time, and we had to sit there like putting pressure on for a while. Think it was also after we had shower, which to be fair means that we did faint. But after that, they put that on us. Like they put it on us and strapped some net pants on us, and like that was it. And then we realized we're supposed to change this. We're not sure how it works. It looks simple. You just like fold it out and rip off these rip off things, probably. Those rip off things make no sense though, because we're wearing net shorts. It's basically like if you're someone who's never used menstruation pads before, which as a trans woman you probably haven't, you just given this like paper thing and asked to put it on. And we could have asked for help. Let's be clear about that. We could have asked for help, but we're thinking like, well, I mean, it can't be difficult because they just expect us to know it. So like we just like put it up and like we see that they have these little like rip off things. Like, oh, now there's glue there. What side does that go on? Because if it goes on the outside, which would make the most sense to us, considering that it seems like the inside, well, the other side of the pad is like softer. God, this is turning out to be a long video. I didn't think it would be. Then these sticky points won't actually attach to anything. So what we end up thinking is we're like, oh, you're probably supposed to fold the tops down on them to like maybe that allows you to like easier hook them on these net pants they've given us. We try that. Turns out that's not it. No, it turns out it's supposed to like stick to panties, for example. Makes perfect sense. It's like it's how those things work. But like that's a basic thing. Someone could have told us. And yes, could we have asked for it? Of course. But like you're hopped up on morphine and pain and other painkillers and like antibiotics, and you're trying to just get used to your new body. Assistance is key. We got so little assistance on these things. And it just upsets us. It really upsets us. There's also just straight up like inconsistencies in the papers they gave us from the hospital. Like this bra, right? One of them says like you're wearing this bra like all the time, all the time. You take it off when you shower because they told us to do that, but like doesn't actually say that, we don't think. But like you wear this all the time for set number of weeks. Like you only take it off to wash or like swap out the tape, stuff like that. You wear it all the time. It's a support bra. It needs to be there to help your aching, not yet finished shaping breasts take form. That's not exactly how it works, but you know what we're getting at. Then you read another paper about like post-surgery care about the thing, and it's like that's a day bra. You can take it off during nighttime. Okay, that makes sense to us, but that's different from you wear this all the time for this set amount of weeks. They never called it a day bra to us until we read that paper that they sent us to tell us how things worked, even though the other paper said otherwise. Again, is it just that we're neurodivergent? Is that it? Maybe. But come on. Also, the dilation. We already talked about that in the main story because it like is what led to this nightmare scenario of a day. But like, why the fuck do you only get like assisted with dilation once, and then they don't even come checking on you how you're doing dilation? Like, again, you can ask for help. That's great. But like, one session of like, here's how you do it, take over, hold it there, bye. And then like, none of the other times we need to dilate, someone even came in to check, like, making sure that we're doing it right. That builds up a hubris, you know? It makes you feel that you're like, yeah, you're probably doing this right. And to be fair, dilation isn't, we didn't find it super difficult, but that fucking broke us today. Because of something that we really should have been shown better. What we're getting at here is that like the trans healthcare in Sweden has been rapidly it has rapidly developed and deteriorated in a lot of ways over the couple of years it's been going on. But please, more clear and demonstrated instruction and therapy, more than one session per thing, if even that, should be a minimum. Because like, you can't rely on the patient can ask for help, because not everyone is like super comfortable always asking for help about things. They might feel they feel like ashamed that they don't know how to do the thing they're expected to just do now. When we started this series of vlogs, we didn't mean for it to become a Andrea rants about trans healthcare vlog. We've done those before. We've had 11 years in the trans healthcare system here in Sweden. But holy shit. Like, the more we've thought about it, the more we experienced, the more today especially lingered in our mind. That's what it became. We're not comfortable with that. That's not what this was supposed to be, but that's what it is now. Our very personal journey of like, hey, we finally get to have our surgeries after waiting a really long time because of a lot of very silly reasons, is now, hey, it turns out that like when you get your surgeries, you will not get the help you need unless you very specifically are someone who is super comfortable constantly asking for everything all the time. Even then, there's other issues, but we talked about those in the other videos. This is over an hour long. We're gonna wrap it up. We did not think it would go on this long. We thought it would be another half-hour video, but guess we just needed to like get everything out because this is the ending after all. We're very happy that we got these surgeries. We were certain we wanted these surgeries 11 years ago. We knew. We only started to have any semblance of doubt that we might not want it when suddenly things were moving very fast out of nowhere. Because leading up to this, we had a lot of bureaucratic problems. We had a lot of like papers going missing and just bad waits and like doctors moving clinics or retiring and suddenly had to start a new on things and like not being able to access hormones and stuff like that. It's been a lot of shit, right? But throughout it all, we've been like, this is what we want to do. We know we need to do this. And like we will sometimes meet other trans women, other trans NBs, which if you don't know, we're both deal with it, and they will be like, "Oh, you're getting vaginoplasty? Why? Like you don't need that to be a girl or a demigirl or whatever." Like it's like, no, we're not saying you do. We want the vagina though. We know we want that, and like we even had some like we've even had like people who like try to like play it into like, oh, but like you'll be less attractive then because like no one wants a trans girl after they've had vaginoplasty, and it's like, why the fuck are you saying that to us, you know? But the fact that we got that experience and it didn't make us feel any different made us know that like, no, this is clearly what we want. Because even when like we're getting negged for it, when like we're getting like other people in our own community telling us that we're like doing something wrong for wanting to like get the body we want, just like they probably are. Like it's like everyone is trying to in this damn community, if they even want medical transition at all. But like, then we know for sure that like this is what we need. This is what we want. This is us feeling this. This is not someone else projecting these ideas onto us. And then like when suddenly it went from every time we tried to like get in touch with the trans healthcare people about our surgery that was supposed to happen years ago, nothing comes from it, to we'll get you on a list. How does 2 months sound? Because you already waited so long, you put ahead 2 months. That's when suddenly we were like, oh fuck, now it's so real, you know? Is this what we want? And that's actually one of the reasons we actually asked, can you make it 3 months? Because we want to like, we need to actually like prepare ourselves for this experience. This is gonna be a very, 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 very emotionally charged experience for us. And they were like, that's fine. Week 16. Surgery date, April 16th. You'll be here a week. Turned out it was 9 days, but they said a week at the time. We're like, okay, yeah, go for it. And we're like, holy shit, it's happening. We're so happy. Oh shit, is this what we want though? We've lived 11 years as a woman now, and we've not had these surgeries. We were kind of like almost starting to feel we might never get them. Were we just fooling ourselves this entire time? We were worried. It was the only time we ever started feeling this kind of like potential doubt, right? So we're like, well, it's 3 months. We have time to think about it. We have time to like build up our own confidence, make sure that it's what we want. Absolute worst case scenario, we will unbook it. But like, no, we have a date now. It's happening. Let's go. Let's fucking go. And we get to it, and it's so we're so nervous, and we get there, and they're like, hey, do you need like a professional to talk to, a curator that can like help you with things? And we're like, yes, please. And we never get it. But then next day the surgery happens, and we wake up, and not a single time since that Tuesday, last week on Tuesday, not a single time have we felt envious of our old body. Not even when we look down and see like the yellow and blue skin around our crotch right now, which is gonna stay that way for months. Not when we see our still unfinished vagina, which, yes, has black bloodstains on it right now. That's also gonna be there for a good while. Not when we look at our breasts that are currently being like sort of like not really in the position they want to be because of the tape, and they're swollen, and also there's like yellow dye in between them and a bunch of blue lines from where they made insertions. Like, nope. Feels fucking great. We woke up and we felt great. We were so happy. We knew we were right. The only doubt we had was in that sudden period where it was suddenly happening. The period in which we were asked, do you need help? We said yes, and they didn't give it. And we foolishly thought they meant, oh, well, maybe we get to talk to a curator about how adapting to our body after the surgery, and then we didn't get it either, even when we asked for one again. And it was emotionally harrowing. We broke down on, I think it was Friday or Saturday, just crying our brains out from an illness in our stomach. Not an illness, that's the wrong word. Sorry, Swedish person mixing things up. Feeling ill in our stomach. A nausea. That, by the way, is probably caused by our ADHD meds. Is something we realize now, by the way. But like, that's not important. That's a completely different problem of Swedish healthcare. But like, we're just like breaking down, and it's like, even after that, they weren't like, need to make damn sure she gets to talk to a curator when they get back in 2 days. And then like, as we're like feeling good and about to head out, we get hit with, maybe you have COVID, which, to be fair, not their fault. We had a fever. It was a fair thing to consider. Just like, oh shit, we might have COVID. Oh, we're not going home. Oh, you don't have COVID. Oh, okay. Fine. Oh, we need to take these extra tests, actually. You do? Actually, we don't. Oh, by the way, your vagina looks bad. You need to come here next week. We do? No, you can send pictures, but it still looks bad. It does? No fucking shit that has been, like... Today broke us. It was meant to be a great day, only turned great after we had showered. Because we remembered, oh right, daily showers. It says here on the paper, need to take daily showers to make sure that everything is getting clean and doesn't get an infection. That means we have to actually look at our vagina. That means we actually have to like touch our body. That means we need to get help from our loving partner where they help us get started with the shower. And suddenly it's like, wait, it's fine. We're fine. All this stress, all this shit, it's not that there's something wrong with us. It's just a bunch of outside factors just shopping their way in, all of which could easily have been not a issue. Some of them were inevitable. yes, asking if you might have COVID-19 when you have fevers for several days that come and go and they can't really pinpoint um, what's going on. Like, yeah, that perfect sense. Fine, that was gonna happen regardless. And who knows? Maybe there is something slightly wrong with our vagina that we can't see that that doctor or surgeon or whatever saw, and no one else in the hospital saw. And the surgeon that comes back from South Africa next week is gonna tell us about. Maybe. If so, we'll deal with it then. But that's not how you do that. This is one of the worst days in recent memory for us. Only good because we have a loving partner who was there for us, who we ended up just spending time with after all this, and before all this, of course, and during all of this. And the fact that when we got to like the queer community place, everyone was happy to see us. They wanted to hug us. They talked about watching these videos. They talked about how happy they were for us. They cared, you know? And not just in a obligatory, this is your job to care kind of thing, but in a, they know what we've gone through, and here we are. And even then, we still fucking broke down. Sorry. Again, it's not a very fun video, even with the flowers and Sonic the Hedgehog. It's ending now. However, the potential that something comes out of our pussy pics we're sending to a surgeon next week, that's the sentence we just said, might make for some kind of follow-up video, if it's worth talking about. If not, assume it was perfectly fine. But there might be another surgery diary entry specifically for that, 3 months away from now, which is still unscheduled. Finishing touches surgery, which is like a 1-day thing. We might do that. It depends on if we have anything actually worth talking about, but who knows? We rambled on for almost an hour and 20 minutes here. Take care. Love you all. We're so happy that people have actually been watching these videos and actually found them not just worthwhile to watch from hearing our story side of things, but also as a resource for what trans healthcare is like in Sweden right now. And I want to make it further clear one last time here. We do not blame this hospital. For the most part, we do not blame the people working at that hospital. There are only 3 clinics in Sweden in which you can get trans healthcare right now. We think it's 3 right now. We'll see what happens with the new trans identity laws that got passed during our surgery week. But these things are dire. And the point is that these things need to improve. Sensitivity training so that the fucking trans patients don't get misgendered at the post-op. Fucking scheduled several visits of physical therapy for each surgery patient. That was a strange sentence to the way we formed it, but you know what we're saying. These are things that need to be there, and they're not, unfortunately. Maybe it's better at other hospitals. We were in Linköping. There's also one in Malmö and in Stockholm, we think. But you hear horror stories like this from trans patients all the time, so it might not be. You know what the saddest thing is? After all of this, there's gonna be some people that go well, you don't get to complain. Your surgery is free. And they're right. The surgery itself is technically free. Getting there wasn't. The medication wasn't. All the doctor's visits weren't. The fucking traumatic experience, not just this one, but the several ones across 11 years, That's not free. Are there worse trans healthcare in other countries? Yes. But Sweden could and should do better. That's just shouldn't be a big deal to ask that. Thank you.